first thing on the agenda is approval of the minutes from September 19th.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the minutes from September 19th. Are there any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no.
No.
Motion carried. Public comment. Public comment is limited to 3 minutes per person. Well, we're not going to exceed that, with a maximum public comment of 30 minutes on agenda items only. Is there any public comment? Any public comment?
Yeah, I
Any
guess
public
so.
comment?
If we're waiting to see who's gonna go first, I'll go first. I'd just like to talk a little bit about the operating agreement that's listed in the agenda. One of the things is that the city demands that, 2 out of the 5 years that they get to be the chairperson, prepare the agenda, set the meeting times, locations, due to the 40-60% payments. I just would like to say that if the city expects that this would be the case, that this is all official then, and they're gonna be the official people taking care of it, then I think that the county, should demand that the 2 representatives from the city should be duly elected city council officials. The county board members have to, work by the basic, rules that are set up for them and how to behave, and the city, I'm assuming, does the same, and I hope that that would be a big deal to everybody, that they work officially and operate properly. The second thing I'd like to talk about the operating agreement is the, constant talking about 30 hours open to the public. In my opinion, the shelter has 3 basic important things to do. They deal with the public problems, they take in animals, they care for the animals. And this is a big deal, how the shelter is a little different than other county operations. This is what they do. They work and take care of the animals that are there. And then they also work to try to get the animals adopted and have the public come in. So there are a variety of complex things that are going on there. And I would like, well, one thing is talking about, being open Friday until 7 p.m. The county people leave, I believe, right now at noon on Fridays. I don't know what the city does, but I don't think there are that many people that wanna go to the animal shelter at night. I mean, Friday night, it's your weekend, and the people the employees at the shelter are working weekends as well as during the week. Yes, the hours can be varied, and I agree with that. I'd like to see county and city representatives sit down and work with Dawn and say, okay, what is the schedule now? How could we vary the schedule to make it work better for the public? And still work within the limited time that the part-time employees can only work. It needs to be looked at reasonably. And also, I would like, I'm sorry, I did not write, I only looked at this stuff last night.
Joanne, I'm sorry, 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Time is up. Okay, any other public comment?
I'll go next. Okay, so, I, just, Joanne brought up the hours, and I would like to, just bring up what the hours were like pre-COVID. When I first started volunteering at the animal shelter, the shelter was open Monday through Friday from 9 until 1. And then there was a point at which it was decided that we needed to be open sometimes during the night or in the evenings, and so the hours were Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 9 to 1 and Friday 9 to 1, And then on Thursdays, the shelter was open from 1 o'clock until 7 o'clock, and weekends were by appointments. Those are the hours that were there before pre-COVID, just for information for those who didn't know. But I'm here to talk about, volunteers are on the schedule or on the agenda, and so I would like to address that. My adult children, let me be clear, because I say my children, they are adults, all volunteered at the animal shelter. My son was employed at the animal shelter for a little over a year, and that was before Dawn came, I know that part of the reason it was put on there was so that I could say this, but that was my son's only outlet. I have an adult disabled son, and Lisa, who used to work there, worked really diligently with my son to teach him how to take care of the animals and how to do everything. My first interaction with Dick was, and Karen really for that fact, was when Dick told my son to shoot the cats in my yard, which was absolutely inappropriate. Dawn did not give any of us a chance at all. We have never been out there one day since she has been there. And that is because her comment to me was, I can't have somebody here who doesn't get along with my staff. But Dick and I have never gotten along. Wasn't there when Dick was there. My children weren't there when Dick was there. It shouldn't have been an issue. But you want a full-time employee, but you don't want volunteers that already knew what to do. And I'm sorry, I have a huge problem with that. But I really just wanted to make it known that, like, how can you be asking for somebody to be there when you don't want volunteers that are there that are willing to do it for free? And our county is going broke. Like, that's the reality of it. We're over budget. We don't have the money for that kind of stuff. So anyways, but thank you for your time.
Thank you. Any more public comments?
I guess I'll go. Not that long ago, Russ County had its own hospital, and they were one of 2 or 3 in the entire state, and obviously that is no longer a thing. And that same essence is with shelters. You are one of 2 in the entire state who own and operate their own shelter, and according to state statutes, you have no legal obligations to own or operate your own animal shelter. It's up to municipalities. So I think people on both sides, city and county, are aware of that fact and aware of the financial crisis we're in. Another thing I'd like to point out, with the volunteers being turned away, there is no documented issues of the people who have been turned away having issues with any staff. I'd also like to point out that the city does pay extra for services, and we wouldn't be in this predicament today if someone didn't have such a resistant nature to follow the local city ordinances, which past managers followed. The past managers actually worked with less. They only had 2 part-time staff, and back pre-2015, one of the part-time staff was limited in their abilities with mental disabilities. I'm actually friends with that individual's niece, and he is deceased, but the shelter seemed to cater to the public more back then with even less. And again, I'd just like to say the city pays extra, and they aren't receiving any additional services, and it is all a matter of public record that it was brought to people's attention of these local ordinances, which is also in the job description that they are to hold up state and local ordinances, and it's not being done. And I think that's why you're seeing this situation being looked into, because your manager also took it upon herself to get a hold of the city's comptroller to see how she could get out of doing the city ordinance on cat licenses, and that is a matter of public record, and that information will be getting into the appropriate hands of people on both the county and city side. There needs to be accountability. You have a job to do. You knew when you took this job that it was 2 positions, The fact that you do alligator tears at meetings is pathetic. There are people in CPS who.
You're attacking an employee and that is not allowed
Sorry,
in
okay,
public comment.
yep, okay, so I'll
You've got to
continue.
remain civil in your
Yep,
comments.
that is fine, but I would just like to point
We've
out.
been through this before, you're being warned.
Okay, that's fine, warn me. There are people in child protective services who see god awful situations, child rape, neglect, abuse. They come with their head held high to meetings and don't make excuses. That's all.
Any more public comment? Go ahead.
I'm gobsmacked. I cannot believe the attitudes in this room. I have heard nothing in this room that is gonna benefit the care and welfare of the animals, not a darn thing. And at the end of the day, it shouldn't be just the money, it should be that as well. So, those of you who talk so much about the double taxation on a $200,000 home, what does that mean? How much extra? I just wanna know, cause this, you know, you like to make it all about the money, but it's very clear, a lot of this is very personal. So tell me, those of you who know, what is that amount of money? Well, you should know, I mean, you keep bringing this up, so you should know.
I didn't bring up a dang thing about that.
I'm not talking to you, I'm addressing the room.
Point of order, public comments to address. You guys, not the public.
She's making a public comment about an item that is on here that was brought up in a previous speaker's public comment.
It's in the letter from the attorney.
So is the public able to address other public? 'Cause I will, damn well I will.
Public comment is to make public, whoever is speaking, to make their issues known. It is not a debate, and it is not a dialogue between either me and them or not. They state what they want to state, and then when their time is up, it is ended.
Do I still have one more time?
Yes, I believe.
Yeah, you have a minute and 15 seconds.
Okay, so the 30 hours, I understand there's a lot of financial considerations. However, for a lot of the suggestions that I'm hearing, it's just gonna suck up more resources that you don't already have. The 30 hours a week, I'm out at that shelter every other week. I'm not seeing many faces out there, in this room. I'm out there quite often and I see what they do every day. Not unusual to have 80 animals in their care. When I was out there 2 weeks ago, they had 78 animals. Dawn's job is not to be cleaning cages. She's on call the 40 hours she's there. You can't factor her in. So now you have 3 part-timers who work about 60 hours a week. So if you're open 30 hours, that means there's one person at the front, because it would be very unsafe to just have the public wandering in. So you need somebody up front. That leaves one person to care for 80 animals. Again, the welfare of the animals is gonna suffer with these suggestions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any more public comment?
Well, I was gonna, I can't say I'm not saying anything. So I'm looking at you to see if you're saying anything. But I'm gonna tell you that I am not for the city, I am not for the county, I am for the animals. And I think, because I've been involved since day one with this whole animal shelter, that I would have maybe some ideas or compromises to offer, but I would like to be included as a real member or participant in your meetings about this, rather than just a 3-minute make a comment. And so I'm offering you my services. I would gladly do it. If you choose not to include me, then that's your choice. But like I say, I have no interest in who wins the fight between the city and the county. I have an interest in how the animals are cared for.
Okay, any more public comment? Any more public comment? Any more public comment? Public comment is closed. Okay, first thing on the agenda is volunteers at animal shelter, and that's on there because Nancy wanted to talk about it today and she is not here. So we will, since she was the one that wanted it on here, we will skip that. And the next item is review of notice of intent to withdraw from the city county animal shelter letter from the city of Ladysmith attorney. I believe you have seen it. It is just in here for notice of purpose. It was dated September 24th, yet it's strange that I did not get it, and I'm copied on it until October 4th, when we were in a public meeting, and I stated that we had gotten nothing from the city of Ladysmith, and lo and behold, it pops up on my email. So, and this is a notice of intent to withdraw from the city county animal shelter. It's addressed to John Caleb, county chair, and it says, well, I'll read it because it's short. As provided for in Part H of the City County Animal Shelter Agreement entered into between the parties on April 22nd, 1987. This is to notify Rusk County of the City of Ladysmith's intent to cease its participation in the animal shelter as of December 31st, 2024, unless a new agreement is reached. The city provided notice to the county to reopen the agreement in a letter to you dated May 29th, 2024. My understanding is that there has been little communication from the county, and negotiations between the parties have so far not been productive. Furthermore, it is the city's belief that its residents are paying twice for the animal shelter, as the residents pay both city and county taxes, and then those city taxes are used to fund the animal shelter. To be clear, the city is willing to enter in a new agreement that treats the city and its residents fairly, but not to continue participation under the terms in the 1987 agreement, and is signed by Patrick Rowe, who is the attorney for the city of Ladysmith. We are just reading that, should we say, into the record to review that the city has given notice. I reached out to Mr. Christensen Senior to schedule a meeting, and we scheduled one, and he did not appear, so we will have to reschedule. I'm assuming they're still interested in meeting. But the previously scheduled meeting, he did not appear. So, again, any questions on the letter from the city, the attorney? Okay, we'll move on to review a proposed joint animal shelter operating agreement and joint animal shelter operating procedures as presented by Al Christensen Senior at August meeting. I think you have a copy of the thing. I think we can go through and discuss some of the stuff on there, so when we do meet, we get a sense of what your feelings are about some of the items on the joint thing. We will confine it today to the joint animal shelter operating agreement. The joint animal shelter operating procedures, that is determined by the Joint Animal Control Board. The procedures and operating agreements, procedures per se, that is determined by the control board, not by anybody else. So we're looking at the operating agreement, is for that this will have to go and be approved. So what I'm suggesting is we will go and I will call out certain things and probably ask each one of you what your feelings are about it, or where you stand on it, or what you think our position would be. Again, I think you have a copy of it.
I have a question right away.
Okay,
Okay, so at the top of this, that was handed out to us at last month's meeting,
2 months ago.
2 months ago, kind of surprised, that it came to the meeting. So it says joint animal shelter operating agreement. Now, by joint, I assume that the author of this document means the city and the county. So that's my assumption for that. Hopefully that's correct.
Correct.
Then it goes down to like the fourth line, it says the city and the county recognize that changes need to be made in the original agreement. So first of all, my first question is, was the county involved in writing this document?
No,
So, how does that come as being a truth, that the city and county recognizes that changes not need to be made? That's
okay,
that's
I'll
a,
make it,
that's
I'll
a
make,
that's misinformation.
I'll make a note,
Make a comment on that?
yes,
I would think anyway that the city stating that they wanted to withdraw from the agreement completely would prompt somebody from the county to realize that it does need to be renegotiated. Seems obvious.
Well, that's an assumption on your part.
Okay.
You know what happens when people assume things, right?
Really, you're gonna go there? That's pretty classless.
let's keep this civil now. Okay, we will make a note of that. As far as I know, nobody contacted us about, the county did not have any input into this operating agreement.
Not only that, but when this was handed out to us, it was very obvious that the city members had seen it. And it was a surprise to every one of the county members.
We had requested that we be given a copy so it could be put in the board packet so that we had a chance to review it before the meeting. That was denied, and it was just presented at the Joint Animal Control Board meeting. And so, as stated in the minutes, I stated that we are not taking any action on it because we didn't even have a chance to read it. And I think you're right in that others knew about it before we did. So that being what it is, let's move forward. So your comment about, the city and county recognize changes need to be, okay. Anything else before we consider going on through this right now?
Well, I mean, if you want me to go through everything.
Well, I think I was
Or do you
going
wanna
to.
just move on to paragraph by paragraph, or how do you want?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna do.
Okay.
So this, effective, I mean, some of the verbiage is wrong because there is no animal control board, it's a joint animal control board. A lot of this stuff legal-wise is misleading. This would have to be cleaned up quite a bit. Just looking at, going on, so if we go to, paragraph 1, I guess, authorization in the government, that's just authority for that, I'm assuming that's right. Animal Control Board, again, that would be the Joint Animal Control Board, that again is, not correct. Again, this is not, I mean, it's gotta be done in a legal manner. This is an operating agreement. And so, that has to be changed. It's numerous throughout here. So, assuming that Joint Animal Control Board oversees, creates rules, and operates the budget every year, yes. 2 representatives of the city and 3 representatives. And I think we heard today that, maybe that gets, one suggestion might be that 2 representatives of the city council and 2 representatives of the county board might be more appropriate, on that.
You're talking about letter A?
No, I'm under number 2.
see,
joint,
okay. I'm
should
sorry.
consist of 2 representatives, maybe, depending on how that goes, should consist of 2 city council members and 3 county board members. That would clarify it, and, in that respect. Again, what is your feeling on that?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Any opinion on that,
It sounds like a good idea to have both,
on the official body? Okay,
So I have a question on that as well, because, in the agreement that was signed in 1987, and this is gonna be, actually, there are no numbers that I can see here. But anyway, item number J.
Yep.
So about halfway through there, it says, in addition to, this would be in response to what Paula had suggested, it says, in addition to city and county members, the Rusk County Animal Shelter, Inc. and Rusk County Humane Society, Inc. may each appoint 1 non-voting representative to the board, which representative shall not be paid by either the city or the county. We don't do that,
no, and
and that would address Paula's issue.
I don't think there is a Rusk County Shelter, Inc., and I don't think there is a Rusk County Humane Society.
Well,
anymore.
Yeah, I agree with that, because through time that has changed. However, I mean, it still states that, each one may appoint a 1 non-voting representative, which would allow, some additional input from the public, whereas they would not be limited, I think, to like a 3-minute comment. They could actually sit in on the meeting, and even though they're not paid or anything, but they can share their views and comments on what happens here.
Yeah, because it says each may appoint, but those 2 organizations don't exist, so they can't appoint anybody.
Well,
So,
I'm looking
we-
this is actually the Rusk County, so basically, I mean, now it's not called that anymore, it's called a joint, animal control, joint animal shelter operation.
But,
So that probably, and it probably was not called it that in 87. It's morphed into this joint animal shelter operation, but,
your point is that
my point is
We
that
can
it
get
does say here that
other,
this body has the ability to appoint, each side has the ability to appoint a non-voting representative to the board.
And that's the animal shelter, not board, right?
Yes,
It says Rusk County Animal Shelter.
yeah.
okay, so just backing up there, so, I think Randy agreed and Tom agreed that the joint animal control board shall consist of 2 city council members and 3 county board members. That was okay. Then, you're suggesting that there might be possibility of some ex officio,
Well, basically, I mean, the way it reads to me, and correct me if
Well-
I'm wrong, but it says basically, the way I'm looking at this is that it seems to me that it's each entity,
which.
i.e. the city or the county.
No, the 2 entities are Rusk County Animal Shelter and the Rusk County Humane Society, and they
Okay.
don't exist.
Which,
Alright.
now it's only 1 entity,
So
cause that
anyway,
means 1 person.
so one entity, yes, thank you, that is correct. So one entity then
I
this
know what
entity
you're
is
thinking.
right here. We have the option of appointing 1 non-voting representative, who would not be paid but could sit in on the meetings.
Well, that was the old agreement, now we're discussing the new agreement, so that's something you would like to see in the new agreement.
absolutely.
And
I would rather specify that it's, Friends of Ross County Animal Shelter appoints somebody.
fracas.
Yeah.
Okay,
I would agree with that.
That's fine with me as
Okay.
well.
okay, again, this is just board suggestions to see where you stand, and, or when we have further discussions on this. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's move on because, again, okay, animal, under A, animal, well, again, joint animal, I think if we correct this and get it right, we'll just say, joint animal control board and then just say control board or something, so we don't have to keep repeating it. The chair of the board shall be such that a representative from the city and county shall serve. This is going to, splitting it between 60-40. Chair shall be held by a county member 2 out of every 5 years, and then the city member should have that. In an operating agreement, you don't normally state the terms, like for the next years or that thing in there. You could say if you wanted, if we decide on that 2 out of 5 years or that, but because then you would have to come back and amend this joint operating agreement after 2026, because you stated in there for that.
I take issue with this as well.
Okay,
So first of all, as everyone knows, and it does state here, the county pays 60% and the city pays 40% of the joint animal shelter operation. But now they're suggesting that, even though they're only contributing 40%, they wanna have, wanna be able to have chairmanship of the joint animal control board. So it seems to me, to make that fair, I would say that, during the years that the city would want to, have chairmanship of the committee, then they should be liable for 60% and the county would pay 40%.
This is just asking for 40% representative of being the chairman. Still only have
Right.
40% voting, so it really doesn't change the balance of power, it just changes some of the operation of the board.
Well, it seems to me that the city should have a little bit more representatives there. I don't know if that's a good idea to have chairman, every term switch.
okay, okay, well, again, that's one thing that will have to get ironed out.
I think
You're opposed to changing it,
that should be just simply strike,
so okay,
letter.
okay. Now, Randy,
No, like I said, I think it's fair representation. If we're paying 40%, we should have the chairmanship 40% of the time. And if you think that we should have to pay 60%, then we should have 60% of the voting members. That's the only way that turns out fair.
Well, how is it fair that you have chairmanship when you only pay 40%?
Because we have chairmanship 40% of the terms.
It just, doesn't
okay,
I'm sure it doesn't.
make sense.
let's move on. For the budget, I know the old agreement called by September 1, no additional council and county board can reject the proposed budget or request changes to be made to the proposed budget. City council and county board have final approval of the budget and their respective funding of the proposed budget. To me, that's kind of redundant. Some of that stuff could be. I think that no additional funds are required to be provided by either that were not included in the current budget. I think there's gotta be some provision if there's some type of emergency or something like that, that there's a provision that we could get additional funding.
You know, I'm wondering, it seems to me that this could get into a lengthy thing, so what I'm wondering is that possibly, if we could set up an ad hoc committee to
Right.
review this and come up with a document that we could present to the entire committee.
Well, I think, that's why I wanna go through it more or less quickly today, because then I think we will try and have a meeting, with the city again to go over this and discuss this. So, let's move on from that. C, meeting agenda and preparation, assuming that way. I think the last part of that sentence, the chair elects not to do so shall at the meeting in question explain to the board why the chair made that choice.
So is that like enabling the chair to pick and choose what they want on the agenda?
Well,
How are they done now?
they make requests to have something put on the agenda,
To you,
yes.
so that's kinda how it works right now.
I don't like the way it's worded, okay, let's move on, again, we don't wanna spend.
I don't care for that wording.
Yeah. Then, meeting time and location, meeting shall occur, county board chair, the rest of county city, meeting shall be booked and recorded, but be at 5:15 or later to include that. I have a problem with that. The joint animal control board determines when the meeting times are and everything. That is not in an operating agreement. Because if one of our members had to work then this is on here, then we'd have to go through and get it amended and changed, and city council and county board approval again. So the joint animal control board sets the meeting times for that, not this.
I agree with that, I don't wanna be here at 5:15 at night.
You made a comment about somebody having to work, I have to work every Thursday to come here. I have to take time out of work, I have to go in early. So I don't remember ever deciding that these should be at 8:30 in the morning.
Our committee decided the meetings are at 8:30.
When I wasn't here,
Well, before you got on,
okay.
and that's a standard meeting. We have standard meetings for most of our committees because we can't shift dates or times, because then you're running into another committee meeting or something like that.
That was just your negative comment about it being 5:15, because if somebody had work, then we'd have to go in and change it. And you're saying that you can't change the time.
If it's put in the operating agreement, we couldn't unless we change the operating agreement. It's up to the joint animal control board to set the time, so they could change it at any time, cause it's not written in this thing here. I'm saying if it's in this agreement, it's gotta be at 5:15. Okay, so you disagree with that?
That could be easily amended to say unless special circumstances require to change. Not that difficult to add that in there.
Not what it says here.
On the agenda, on every agenda, you have a item here, next meeting date and time. So we have the authority to set that.
Well, okay, to me, it looks like it's already set, so.
We have the authority to set that and change that.
But that's the board that has that, not a operating agreement. Okay, let's move on again, because I wanna get through this roughly, and then, meeting notices and meeting records, this assumes then that this the chairmanship is going to switch. Meeting notices shall provide for a public comment period, although no action is required to be taken on them at that time, unless action is on the agenda, unless the item is merged in the list. The shelter exists to serve the public, and hearing the public's input is crucial to doing so. Yes, the shelter exists to serve the public, the shelter exists to serve the animals and provide for animal care. This is kind of diminishing the purpose of the shelter to begin with, I think.
I agree.
Okay, any comment? No? Okay, again, all meetings will comply with whatever that is, okay? Facilities management, the board shall make recommendations on facility modifications to the full county board and city council. Comments on that?
What? That
F.
sentence,
Yeah,
why is it there?
Are you able to read that again?
facilities management, the board shall make recommendations on facility modifications to the full county board and city council. I mean, right now, there's a joint management.
We are in joint management, so anything that happens here, both parties are privy to everything.
Right.
So, I mean, this is, it seems this is,
Redundant.
yes, thank you.
Randy?
I'm not familiar with the joint management committee, so I don't have any familiarity with that.
Okay, well, let's question that. Okay, then back, operating hours. Oh, you don't have your, just a second. Okay, operating hours. The shelter will be open to public a minimum of 30 hours weekly, including 2 Saturdays monthly. You're open 2 Saturdays now, right, from 10 to 2? Okay, so or that, and at least every Friday until 7 p.m.
And I think under the
To accommodate residents whose work schedule do not allow them access during the customary workday. Billable hours currently exceed
Try to change this now.
that should start, that has nothing to do with that at all. Workers' hours shall be stated and provide for English hours open for. I think we have a thing that was presented to the board about how all the other animal shelters, how much they're open. And, in this area, well, quite an area, and the size of them, and the size of the county, and the size of their staff and everything else. So, I think, what is your opinion on that? I'm saying that the thing that's underlying billable hours currently see that has nothing to do with this at all. A minimum of 30 hours, and every Friday until 7. I think, it's my understanding, Don, you correct me. Even though the shelter may be closed, if somebody shows up, you take them in and
We have
handle
people in
them.
there all the time.
Right.
I mean, I've been there till 6, 7 o'clock at night doing adoptions. I think we did
3 or 4 adoptions on Tuesday, and we're not open,
Right,
because we let them come in by appointment.
and even if they don't have an appointment, well, maybe for an adoption, but other than that, you handle them, if somebody shows up, you
And-
let them
and
in,
if
take
they
care
get
of
an
it.
adoption, they wanna stay on Saturday or Sunday when we weren't open, because that's the only time they could come in.
Yeah, so you accommodate the public, so,
You're not turning people away.
No, I want the animals adopted, I'm not gonna
Exactly.
tell them I'm not gonna be there.
so what is your,
It should state in there somewhere about, about appointments.
and Randy, what's your,
Well, I think basically you do need to have some set hours. I mean, I appreciate that
set
you do
hours.
appointments and stuff too, but yeah.
I think, what are the set hours, Monday?
Set hours for being open, or
Yeah,
set
for
hours for
being
actually people being there taking care of the animals?
No, being open to the public.
So, Monday, Tuesday, Friday, we're open 10 to 2.
Monday, Tuesday, Friday?
No, Monday, Wednesday, Friday,
One,
sorry.
yeah, 10 to 2,
And then,
every
first and third
Saturdays, 10
10 to 2.
Okay,
Yeah. And then anybody that wants to come in anytime between them, before, I've had people come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. Before, that's when they could get there to either reclaim a dog, bring in a stray, whatever's going on. I would like to know how they plan on staggering the hours. If I'm not included in this.
I don't know that you're not included in it, so I don't know why you're looking at me.
Well, I'm just asking, I mean, how are you gonna stagger the hours? They only are allowed 6 hours a day. They work 8 to 2. Somebody has to be there at 8 AM to get the animals, the dogs especially, out of their kennels and outside to go to the bathroom. So if you take one of those people away and have them say, come in later, that's one person. That's one animal care person and myself. So when you have one animal care person and myself,
you end up cleaning,
which is fine, I don't mind helping clean, that's not the issue. The issue is if I have to go, I mean, I have so many things going on, which nobody knows, cause you haven't been there, so you can say what you want about me, I don't care. But, there's a lot of stuff going on, there's a lot of moving parts, and if I have to go on a call, I mean, I already have like 7 or 8 animal complaints I have to deal with. I can't get on the phone and do those, I have to leave the building. At least one person at the shelter by themselves to clean all the cats and all the dogs, answer the phone, do adoption, do animal control. If anyone has to go to the vet, take them to the vet, dewormings, vaccinations, I mean, I think you're missing the point. When I started there, half of those animals weren't fixed. The majority of those animals only had 1 vaccine and 1 deworming.
which is not standard care.
No, and there was lots of, dogs there were pooping out worms, and there was a cat there that her stomach was this big, cause she was full of tapeworms. So, in order to take care of the animals effectively, they have to be vaccinated, they have to be dewormed, there is a process, there's a protocol for everything. Anything that they have, there's a protocol to keep them healthy. So if you factor that in, so I understand there was less people than me there, and they were getting it done, they were not getting it done. We pulled over almost 100 stray cats out of the city of Ladysmith in the past 2 years that are running around. Pulled them out, got them out of there, because the 3 colonies that we were working with were told, I don't know by who, trap them yourself, bring them in, we'll euthanize them. That's what they were told. These 3 people are disabled, there's no way they're gonna be trapping cats, setting traps, checking traps, drag them in the building, and then having somebody euthanize them. That's why they didn't bring them in, and that is why it went from 10 cats to 20 to 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 to 70. And there are still multiple cats that I have to get in, but unfortunately right now, I don't have room for all of them. So that's a whole nother process.
I think
It's gonna be hard to
I think
stagger.
we're getting a long ways away from.
Well, I'm just saying,
what the
I'm
point of
trying
this
to,
is.
you know, defend myself again.
So there
You're
are,
not being attacked, so I don't know why you need to defend yourself. Basically, it was, the idea is to try to have the shelter open more so people can come in more, so animals can get adopted quicker and.
And people come in, anytime anyone calls, I can't get there till 4, I'm here. I can't get there till 7, I'm there. Like I said, we did 4 adoptions on Tuesday, we're not open on Tuesdays.
I'm just explaining what the operating hours attempt was.
okay, let's move on from here, cause we've got more stuff to cover. Expenses. These have to be redone because if you look at the actual P and L of their, this doesn't include everything in there. There's a lot more, and I realize, in order to say something about the following expenses are include but not limited to, but then this I think was kind of taken out of.
Did I see food on there?
No. So, okay, and funding, well, B, there's nothing. The shelter shall be funded by the city of Lacey and the Russ County as follows, a line. So that has to be addressed, whether it's gonna stay or whatever, or if the city's participating or not, or whatever. Okay, shelter employees, again, like I said, let's move on. The employees of the shelter shall be employed by Russ County. All employment shall be made by Animal Control Board, Joint Animal Control Board. Well, and that's not true. Our Human Resources Department, that's gotta be reworded, because HR, they have input on that. And employment decisions are not just made by us. That's
Recommendations, not, would it be, not decisions, but recommendations?
Put that in there. Because again, we are not micromanaging, and this has to go through, the hiring thing has to go through our HR department and all the county stuff, so, that'll have to get changed. Any compensation for the shelter's employees shall be set out in the annual budget, approved by city council, and compensation shall not be increased, that's standard. Job description, again, well, there was no exhibit A, so, that's questionable. But the humane officer and manager and then eldritch staff. Annual evaluations, the county's human resource director shall conduct an annual evaluation of the shelter staff. I don't know if that's done, that's, again, that's.
Has that ever been done?
That's county policy that, you know, if there's complaints or anything like that. So I'm not sure that that's necessary.
Yeah, I don't see why that should be there.
Randy, any?
Not got a lot of experience in government, but most any job I've ever had that I worked for somebody, there was an annual evaluation.
You haven't worked for the county. Okay, shelter building, ownership. Any transfer, any transfer shall be based, this, the last half of that, upon records contained in the, Register of Deeds office or something like that. I don't understand the purpose of that, especially at the end. You know, it's gotta be, you know, the Register of Deeds office is the official thing, and, so there would be what they had. moving on again, repairs. I don't think, Russell County maintenance staff maybe rather than manager, but that's, we can talk about it later. Any changes on that one for repairs?
That's how it's handled now, right? The Russell County Maintenance Department
Right.
takes care of stuff like that.
Records, repairs and maintenance and employment shall be logged as, well, that's to be shared upon the agreed cost percentage. Such expenditures which are not provided for the privilege. The records one is redundant, I mean, you just got through saying that in repair, well, I'm sorry, repairs above. The department takes care of them and records and render these costs shall be among the operational costs shared by the parties. Now you're stating the same thing again. So I think that records thing doesn't really, of course there are records of the maintenance and repairs. And, so I think, number 6 could be deleted or.
I think 6 is talking more about the financial figures, where the one above that was talking about the actual repairs.
Yeah, but it says
Let's go
these
repairs.
costs shall be among the operating costs shared by the parties, so that's the financial figures.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You're referring back to B above that?
Yep.
That's not talking about,
Well, that's,
this has the addition of expenditures that were not provided for the gross budget. So this is talking about like anything above and beyond. I mean, they could be combined together, that last sentence could be put in the one above it.
yeah, like I say,
Yeah.
it's redundant again.
Part of it is,
Okay, informational requests from board members shall be provided in a reasonable time and without delay. I think, confidential to provide shall be board. I think there's gotta be something there about provided such requests are secondary to other duties. Because if Dawn has to spend hours, which she has done, making copies of stuff and this and that and everything, that comes second to taking care of the animals or humane officer stuff or things like that.
I don't understand why board members should be excluded from paying for these requests. Everybody, if I made a request for any kind of information, I would be charged. So what gives board members exclusivity on that? I don't understand that.
because it's information for us to be able to do our job.
Well, I can ask for information to be able to do my job as a supervisor on the board and I have to pay for it.
I don't know, they get information from the city and they don't charge me for that, so.
Tom, are you okay with that?
I don't know why, if you're getting information for your need, then there should be no cost.
This doesn't say though information for joint animal control meetings.
It just says information.
It just says,
request.
so this could be open records request, and if it's an open records request, that takes me 2 hours, depending on what it is, out of my day. They probably should charge for it. So this needs to be,
So, cleaned up, yeah, okay, so if it's a committee request, I mean, a request for something that we're gonna be doing here at.
in a meeting,
In the
we would
meeting.
charge for that.
Yeah, okay.
And I think, yeah,
Okay.
I think basically what this is addressing and the wording on this is misleading because it actually, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they are referring to open record requests. So I think information, should be changed to open record requests.
or state that it's only
Non-meeting,
yeah,
items?
non-meeting or non-open records thing, we can come up with a wording on that. Because open records request, that takes time, and again, that's why I wanted in there something like, provided such requests are secondary to other duties, because,
I think that falls under reasonable. I mean, it would be,
I mean,
it's unreasonable to expect her to stop doing her job just to.
well, you don't know the volume of open records requests, and a lot of it's just, well, we won't go into that. Okay, again, let's move on. Again, this is just to get your ideas and stuff, and we'll, but, information requests by the public information requests regarding shelter operations shall be held. What is that even saying? It doesn't mean anything.
It means that anybody, the public has to go through the regular procedures, like you were just talking about, open records request.
Subject to Wisconsin law.
these are open.
Okay, outside, okay. I'll try and get number 8, outside agency thing. I've talked both to the sheriff's department and the city police, and there's no way that they're gonna log their time and figure out all this stuff for an occasional running out to the animal shelter to meet someone to put in a thing. So, this law enforcement thing and all of that, I say to strike. Number 8. Because both the sheriff's department and the city police said, we're not going to be doing this, calculating fringe benefits, calculating all of this, the cost would be far exceeded by what they run out there once in a while to open a shelter to deliver, to meet somebody out there to pick up or to put a dog in. Any comment on that?
Yeah, I guess I would need to know what the frequency is to determine if it's meaningless or not. And I don't know what the numbers are, so.
Well, according to Chief Julian, it doesn't happen very often. He was irritated, but one time they called and he said he'd meet them there, he had to wait half an hour for them to get there. But that's just part of life. Okay, operational records.
Don does all of this now.
Yep.
Okay, insurance, they left it blank. Again, that's going to have to be filled in, but I believe the old agreement had, the county carries liability on the city carries property insurance. I believe.
Yeah.
Which would make sense. Cause the shelter is on city property.
And then, liability insurance, whether it be workers' comp and on the facilities operation. So this stuff has to get
That would fall,
reworded.
that would fall under the 60/40 again, correct?
Well, in effect, well, they have to provide it, and all the insurance premiums are part of the operating, so, in effect, right? So, again, this has to be filled out and redone that. Terms of the agreement, place that, so automatically renews unless terminated the party within 90 days notice to engage. Okay, and then amendments. Again, this agreement may be amended, from time to time, but only by agreement by the city and the county through action by the city council, county board, either party, or the, and soon as a joint animal board, control board, again, this language operation shall be set forth in writing, signed, directed, I don't think there's anything. Just, we're making change to be approved by city council and county board. I also think, and I would suggest that, and we're going through this in another thing, that another item that we put on here is that, there's an arbitration clause if they cannot agree on something. And that way, then, a professional arbitrator comes in to make the final decision, and the costs are split equally between the city and the county. Equally, not 60-40, equally, because if we can't agree, then an arbitrator should be called in and to do this, so we're not playing games and politics. The whole purpose of the animal shelter is to take care of animals, and I think we gotta keep that in mind. So any further comments on this? Okay, now this is just to get some ideas, where the Joint Animal Control Board stands, so when we meet to discuss it. Anything further by anybody? Again, the policies and procedures, that is determined by this committee. Can be reviewed, but we are the ones to do that, and we'll look at that another, but we've gotta move on. So any further comments on what we've done, to get some ideas of where you stand? Okay, let's move on to monthly animal shelter report and humane officer report.
Mr. Chair, did you want to ask the body what the plan is for further negotiations?
Okay, but I had set, like I say, I had set up one meeting with Mr. Christensen. That was a no-show, so I'm assuming that you want to continue, or do, Mr. Christensen?
You're making it sound like I just didn't bother coming. I had an eye appointment in Eau Claire. I wasn't able to make it. I explained that. So, let's state it the way it is. I had a reason why I couldn't.
But you did not notify us that you weren't coming.
I did too. I've got an email. I can prove it. I'll send it to her.
I've got the email. It says, go ahead and schedule it,
Yeah.
and if I don't show up, then cancel the meeting.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, we show up, we waited 15 minutes, it took our time and everything, and no phone call, no email, nothing.
Ordinarily, my appointments take 30 to 45 minutes. This one took 2 hours. It was unanticipated. I was sitting in the chair. I couldn't contact you. Sorry for that. But it was for
Okay.
medical reasons. It didn't blow you off.
So, are you open to continuing discussions?
Absolutely.
Okay, we will get in contact. Anything else? Okay, Don?
I better be careful what they wish for.
Probably don't have enough for everybody, but you can pass it around. I probably don't have enough for everybody, but. Alright. So currently, we have 84 total animals at the animal shelter. I wanna say the last 2 days, we got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, I'm counting by cage, 12 cats, 13 maybe, in the last 2 days. They're all kittens, they're all under the age of 12. Yeah, we got it since Monday, Tuesday. So we have in the cat drop-off, now the cat drop-off is where the police meet someone to drop off a cat. We currently have, 9 cats in there. There's 6 cages in there, so there's 5 little kittens in one, 3 in another one, and another one, so we only have 3 open impound kennels for cats right now. The cats that are in there have nowhere to go, so they're there until there's another cage open in quarantine, but they're alright in there for now. Then cat playroom 1, there's 7 kitties in there,
I'm sorry, 7.
7 cats in cat room 1. We had to move 1 because the other 2 in the other room got adopted. And Tilly didn't have very much space for her and her 7 kittens, so she's in the other room. So cat room, playroom 2 has Tilly and her 7 babies. And quarantine has 23. That's the back storeroom. The adoption room has 8. And then we have 7 dogs in the adoption room, and then we have 6 dogs in quarantine. Mind you, we have 8 kennels, so we've got kennels split.
How long are they in quarantine?
They're just in, they just call it quarantine, they're just in, they have nowhere else to go, so they're in there until they have somewhere else to go.
Same with the dogs?
Yep.
No.
1 cat is in foster, that's Jasper, and Jasper is getting adopted probably today or tomorrow. And the laundry room, we have 15 cats. So that's 2 nursing moms, 1 little kitten, 2 other little kittens, and then 2 other little kittens. I didn't have time to print out my stuff because I was in Madison all day yesterday. So, since last meeting, I have 3 more animal complaints. I've written 2 more, citations for animals at large. And then I'm in the process of writing 2 more citations for animal at large. Those I gotta do today. I have written 8 warning letters. I have 1 more, dog that I put on rabies quarantine. I have to issue 20 citations, for rabies vaccine and licensing. And then I have to write 120 citations for failure to renew their license. So, it takes me a while to write citations. And I still have the 6 animal complaints in process. So, that's 9 animal complaints that I am in the middle of, and I have something else I'm in the middle of.
That 120, is that cats? Or dogs?
Those are dogs, that's all county, that's county licensing.
120.
That's people that didn't renew this year,
Yeah.
so, and I'm now writing them, so I actually do tracks now. So, it's the same as a police officer would, instead of doing it the other way, which means then the clerk has to do all this stuff, so it's easier. It's not easier for me to do it, it takes a lot of time, but it'll go right through, and it's actually a real citation, it goes right to the clerks, and it's just boom, boom. So it's a lot easier for them.
And remember, once it's in tracks, it's out of her hands.
Correct.
Because that's in the court system or whatever. And we had a thing about you have to have the birth date.
Yes, I can't write any citation without any of that, and I have to get that from either the city or the county, I don't have access to that. So, these 120 citations all got sent to, Krista, and she had to get all that information for me, then the other 20, couple of these are repeat offenders, not on their rabies vaccine licensing, but animals at large, so I already have their information, but I wanna say I sent her like 15 more people that I have to have all the information, cause you can't write a ticket or citation without driver's license, date of birth, and then I have to print all those, handwrite all those, and mail all those, and a couple of them I have to hand deliver, cause they don't have a mailbox, for some reason.
Okay, anything else? Any questions for her?
Your thing yesterday was at the training that we approved last month, you went to?
Yeah, so that actually is, what that is I wanna say it's part of agriculture trade protection, chapter 13 something, where if you have an employee that is certified, it's a rabies control program basically with the state. So the certification allows the actual facility to report rabies quarantines and things like that. So the facility can become a rabies program facility through the state, because that's how they get their information. They know how many animals bit, how many just that or whatever. But it's a process. I have to do that. I have to have a vet that oversees me to make sure that, because then I can actually observe these dogs. And then you only have to do 2 days of observation instead of 3, and then I'm not paying a vet to come in, or dangerously enough, I've actually had to take a very aggressive dog to the vet with my own vehicle because the other one was gone, because he couldn't come out because he was the only one there. So, this will allow me to do it, but when you start, you have to be under the observation of a vet to make sure that vet is confident that I know what rabies looks like. And then you have to have an annual meeting with the vet and then the staff member. There's other rules, it all has to be reported to the state annually and things like that, so, that's what that is for, so.
Okay, any other questions for her on the monthly animal shelter or the humane officer report? Okay, let's move on. Budget review.
Can I make a request? I'm a little short on time. Would it be possible for us to hear from the friends of the animal shelter
Sure.
first, and then I can just sign the
Okay. Okay, Fracas.
Okay, the only comment I have, I was not here last month, and apparently you didn't talk about the fundraiser that was for the spay and neuter program. And so from one fundraising organization to another fundraising organization, I would like to say, number one, congratulations, they put on a very classy fundraiser and made some decent money. I don't know exactly what, so I'm just kind of assuming that it was decent money.
2,200. I just deposited it yesterday.
Okay, so that's like my official comment, but my unofficial comment is that, I'm jealous of them because they have spay and neuter as their goal, and I don't think there's one person that's against that. And so it's, I won't say easy to raise money, but it's easy to argue your point of why you're raising money, whereas our group is trying to raise money for facilities, and that's like one mountain to cross over the other. So I am kind of jealous that they have an easier cause than we do to raise money, but anyway, that's all I have from Fridays.
Okay, let's, yeah, Randy, if you're leaving, let's do review bills, so you can sign.
Okay.
So let's look at the bills. Are there any questions on that? Total of $27.23.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve the bills. Any further discussion or any questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say no. Motion carried. Okay, if you want to. Okay, then,
I did get on the pants already.
Okay.
Took us 3 hours,
There was quite a few.
cause I didn't have a truck.
Oh.
Yeah, there was a lot.
and then our next meeting you see on.
Yep.
Okay, back to the budget review. Again, this would be for 9 months, 3/4 of the year. Again, I guess there's nothing that's too much different. The same ones that were over have been over. I guess, just look at, is there anything that you want to ask about? One, one good thing is that the animal shelter receipts that we had budgeted for 10,000, already at the end of 9 months, we're at 11,300. So we're over already, which is good. And animal shelter donations, which we had not budgeted for, we're at 8,200 for the year. So that's additional money in to help the budget, so pay for the critters' care.
Same with the gift fund.
No, the gift fund was for, what was that for again? That we approved out, that was that for the beds or something?
This might be
is-
donation.
this is- No, that came from the gift fund. That was the transfer that we made, like, the beginning of the year,
It might
that
be
we
that.
For
approved.
the,
I think
Was
there
that
a couple
for the, live cages, or?
could have been the live cages or
The
the
probably
beds?
And the cages, I don't remember.
Yeah, on that. So that's why that's there. Again, where it says, animal shelter under revenue, dog taxes, that 23,000. That's what the budget says, but last year we got in over 26,000, so I'm expecting, because remember, the fees have been raised the year before that, and then we're raising it for next year. So there, we should be getting more, in the future by law.
I have a question. I can't remember, what did we raise the fees to? Was it 10 and 20
And 75,
and 75?
Yeah.
And what was the kennel fee prior? 60?
60.
Oh, it's 10, 20, and 75?
Yep.
Okay.
Jill is sending that out to all, going in all the tax stuff. And that's what they'll be charging. Okay, so as down here at the bottom, again, you can see what's used in the city, but again, not all the expenses are in that stuff. And then moving on for, the building fund, nothing has changed from last month. Remember, the expense was for the architect fees, we've gotten about the same thing, so the fund balance carried forward roughly the same on that. And then, the spay neuter funds, this probably doesn't include, other.
No, I just did that
cans,
yesterday.
yeah. We can see the expenses up there, so we're over budget on the spay neuter, things. And remember, we had talked about transferring some of the mileage out of auto and that out of the regular against this, but we haven't got that done yet. So you see the spay neuter donations there in the aluminum cans. So we've had about $3,000, just rough, $3,000 decrease, expenses more than revenues. So our fund balance was 30,000, so 3,000 less, say roughly 27,000. But then Dawn, you said you got a lot of, where was that from again?
That was the
Rockwell?
60 stance. Oh, those cans?
Yeah,
Well, those all went, I should be getting a check again, that thing was
Okay.
so full, I mean, it wasn't just Rockwell, I mean, we got,
yeah,
I don't know where they all came from, but it was full within like 3 days. The cans.
So
So
there'll
they
be-
came and got it.
so there'll be more in the aluminum can
Yeah.
fund thing, so that'll be good. Because the little critters gotta keep getting spayed and neutered. And then the gift fund, again, you can see that transfer in there, the 80-22, we transferred that into the thing. Remember, for the gift fund, before she can spend anything on that, we have to approve it. The committee has to approve that, which we've done. And then the bank fees, the only other expense in there is, I think that's PayPal, we figured out that PayPal, if they donate via PayPal. And so we've gotten in almost $2,000 in that, so we've got about $1,000 more than we've, spent this year so far. So, and our fund balance was 82, so we're probably roughly 83 right now, roughly. So, any questions on that? And I think we've covered everything. Any other items, or any questions on what we discussed? Our next meeting will be November 21st, at 8:30.
This is, at this point of the agenda now is next meeting date, now this is the time that if we are going to have any changes, we should voice them.
We could change, yeah, this is our standard meeting.
This is our standard meeting, and it says on here, all meeting dates and times are subject to change. And this would be the time to bring that up.
But ours is now still November 21st, which is 1 week before Thanksgiving. So that's, it's during hunting season, I guess.
No.
1 week, so it'll be the 21st at 8:30. Okay, if there's no further items or anything, I will adjourn the meeting at 9:56. And thank you all